Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. I'm John Carter.
And I'm Paulina Adlerstein, and today we're exploring the museum of Anna and Jarosław Iwaszkiewicz in Podkowa Leśna.
They are one of Poland's greatest literary couples, so come and join us as we find out more about this literary couple. Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. On today's episode, we're at the Jarosław and Anna Iwaszkiewicz Museum. I'm joined by Miss Beata. Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. Jarosław had a very sort of full and interesting life. So after sort of extensive period of writing, then the Second World War came about. Could you tell us about his role in the Second World War and the subsequent years after the war and his role in politics?
Iwaszkiewiczowie mieszkali w Stawisku od 28 roku i właściwie to można powiedzieć o trzech okresach.
The Iwaszkiewicz family lived in Stawisko from 1928. In fact, one can say this home went through three periods. 10 years before the war, then the period of Second World War, an occupation, and lastly the post-war years. During World War II, Iwaszkiewicz lived with his wife and their daughters, Maria and Teresa, in Stawisko. This is where they stayed throughout the duration of the war, apart from the short period in September of 1939, during which the majority of the population of Warsaw fled their homes in panic. After a few weeks, they returned home and lived here. This is a very important time in the life and work of Iwaszkiewicz, as he did not have acceptable conditions for writing. Many people gained refuge in this house during the war. There were moments when Iwaszkiewicz himself stayed in the smallest room behind the bathroom, and there he wrote, for example, memoirs from Italy and other works. However, this period is crucial to underline, as he was involved in the underground Polish state, more precisely the Department of Culture and Art, as well as the protection of historical landmarks. Professor Stanisław Lorenz also visited the home. Iwaszkiewicz cooperated with him in cultivating the culture and heritage, as they believe that their interruption may have negative effects. Iwaszkiewicz was also very keen on helping others. Andrzej Panównik, Artur Rubinstein, Czesław Miłosz, Jerzy Andrzejewski and Jerzy Waldorf stayed here during the war, just to name a few, as well as other famous musicians and writers. Knowing how difficult life could be in Warsaw for those who fled their homes, he organized a series of war concerts in Stawisko, or hosted dinners for his guests. I would also like to say a few words regarding Anna Iwaszkiewicz. She could have been seen as being in the shadow of Jarosław Iwaszkiewicz, but this period in her life during the war was important for her, as this is when she became strong, resolute and very active. She too helped others, helped the Jews, transferred money to the ghetto, transferred medicine, organized medical appointments and helped to put together documents. She had an acquaintance in the office in Brwinów who created those documents which essentially were a pass for life. These things were priceless then, because as we know, for helping Jews in Poland during this period of time, one could be faced with death.
Pomoc Żydom w Polsce w czasie II wojny światowej groziła śmierć.
Stawisko is the name which Anna and Jarosław Iwaszkiewicz gave to the estate they received as a wedding gift from Anna's father, Stanisław Wilhelm Lilpop, in 1920. In 1928, a traditional Polish manor house was built there. For over 50 years, it was their home and maintained its character as a literary and artistic center. Many people fell under the spell of its picturesque setting near beautiful woods, its tranquility and indeed the unique atmosphere of the house itself. Many of the writer's best-known works were written there. During World War II, Stawisko became a place in which many refugees from Warsaw found shelter. The Museum of Anna and Jarosław Iwaszkiewicz was established there after the writer's death, in accordance with his will.
Could you tell us then a little something about the relationship between the husband and wife?
Anna Iwaszkiewicz była osobą No nie chcę powiedzieć, że specyficzną, ale wyjątkową. Wyjątkową w tym sensie, że
Anna Iwaszkiewicz was certainly a special woman in a sense that she loved her husband very much and greatly valued his work. She was a person who knew the arts, knew music and would truthfully assess the value of his work properly. She read a lot, translated the works of Marcel Proust and Joseph Conrad, wrote critical literary sketches. On the other hand, she was very involved in everyday life, involved with the house as well as helping people in the area. She was involved with the house not in the way of running a household, as she did not have such predisposition, but willingly took care of grandchildren, organizing trips to the seaside, to the mountains. She was certainly an uncommon figure.
no była niepospolitą postacią, bezwzględnie.
Tell us a little something about the photos we have in shot here.
Na tym stole są dwie fotografie z wielu fotografii.
On this table we have two photographs of many that are in Stawisko. These photographs portray Karol Szymanowski and Queen Elizabeth, the Belgian queen who visited Stawisko in the year 1955. While speaking of Stawisko, its history, one should also mention the receptions which took place here. Iwaszkiewicz regularly organized parties, for example on the occasion of Anna's name day or a wedding anniversary. I also mentioned Stawisko during World War II. These notable people would come and go. One of them was the Belgian Queen Elizabeth, who, as aforementioned, visited in 55. She came to the Chopin competition to Warsaw and visited Stawisko too. Arthur Rubinstein also made his way to Stawisko, and there are traces of his visits among many, many others.
No i wiele innych osób.